Welcome to the Heavy Spoilers Show. I'm your host, Def Vader, and this is the channel where we break down all the latest movies, new game releases, TV shows, and comic books. With the Rise of Skywalker about to hit cinemas worldwide next week, we actually have a new full plot breakdown that broke the internet last night from someone who has apparently seen the entire movie. Episode 9 has been plagued with reshoots, script leaks, and a number of changes to its plot, but it looks like we finally know what's going to be in the release of the film that will be making its way to cinemas next week. Throughout this video, we're going to be going through the entire plot as leaked by the insider and discussing all of the ins and outs of the story. There will be heavy spoilers here, so if you want to go into the movie fully closed off from the Force, then I highly suggest that you turn off now. I know you though, you want to ruin it for yourself, don't you? I can feel the hate flowing through you. Search your feeler. Look, I'll stop with that, it's terrible. As with all leaks, we won't know if these are for definite until we see the final film for ourselves, but they do line up a lot with the leaked behind the scene images and things that have made their way to the internet in the past. Still, take it with a pinch of salt as it could be untrue. Anyway, with all that out the way, thank you for clicking the video. Now let's get into our full plot breakdown of the Rise of Skywalker. Okay, so this leak comes from Reddit user Jedi Paxis, who claims to have an inside source that has seen the entire film. The user says that they vetted them, and the Redditor has actually posted a number of leaks in the past that turned out to be true before we ever saw them in trailers such as C-3PO's red eyes and the Return of the Emperor. I'm just going to be reading this plot leak with a couple of changes to what Paxis put, just to keep it tighter for the video, but I'll leave a link in the description below if you want to go through the entire thing yourself. Okay, so the insider said that the film begins with Kylo's slaughter of natives in the red-lit woods to get to Vader's wayfinder. The wayfinder is a pyramid-shaped object that hooks up to Kylo's TIE fighter to allow him to see how to get to Exegol. Kylo flies through a red nebula-like section of space to get there, as was seen in recent TV spots for the movie. Once on Exegol, Kylo apparently wanders into what looks like a science lab, and Palpatine's voice can be heard claiming that he made Snoke and that he's been orchestrating everything from the shadows. This lines up a lot with leaks that were dropped last week, with Snoke apparently being revealed to be a clone, and Kylo discovers copies of him on Exegol. With regards to Palpatine's initial appearances, flashes of lightning reveal his face, but he has completely white eyes, and his body is attached to a vertical metal arm that leads somewhere we don't see. Palpatine apparently discusses his large armada, and orders Kylo to locate Rey, which he takes as to kill her. Palpatine warns him though, she's not what you think. The film then cuts to an ice asteroid base sequence, which is when we see Poe, Finn and Chewie on the Falcon, and they're all playing holo chess 2-on-1. They insinuate Chewie cheats and he gets a bit annoyed about it, but Poe makes a comment about how it's obvious that he's better than them because he's so much older. Chewie gets up to check something and they lie to him saying that they won't turn off the game because they're losing, but they do this when his back's turned. Anyway, they're here to meet a First Order informant known as Bulio, who is acting as a middleman between a First Order mole and our hero. The contact tosses them a satchel with all of the background information in it, and Poe and Finn pry the contact to get the mole's name, but he won't budge. The First Order then arrives and begins attacking the base, and the assault forces our heroes to make a hasty exit by what is described to be as lightspeed skipping. We learn that a lightspeed skip involves them making a jump to lightspeed without plotting a course or a predetermined destination. As we all remember, making the jump to lightspeed without precise calculations can have dire consequences such as flying through a star or bouncing too close to a supernova, and the Falcon makes a handful of these skips to throw the First Order off their trail. As a result though, they're forced to deal with the consequences of such a risky maneuver, and the Falcon sets on fire because of it. Rey, Finn and Poe reconnect when the Falcon lands at the Resistance jungle base, and we see members of the Resistance running to put the fire out that we can see coming from the Falcon. This is where they drop the line about the damage being incurred because of lightspeed skipping, and this makes Rey very upset with Poe. During Rey's training on the jungle base, she gets very frustrated and tosses her lightsaber a bit carelessly, causing trees to fall and want to damage BB-8. Anyway, the Resistance reviews the information gained from the data encoder, and they find out about the Sith fleet and Palpatine's return. The combined forces of Palpatine and the First Order are apparently called the Final Order, and we learn that Luke was searching for Exegol but was unable to obtain a wayfinder to get there, which sort of becomes the big MacGuffin of the movie. The source says that Rose is little more than a background character, and that she has some lines throughout, but nothing too significant, largely just motivational things like "let's get 'em" and "make Star Wars great again." I'm kidding, she didn't say that. Anyway, Leia decides that they need to end this threat once and for all, and a team is formed. Before taking off, a few new things were apparently added in the reshoots, including a scene in which Leia gives Rey her lightsaber back, and Maz gives Rey a little pep talk before she leaves. Rey tells the crew that Luke left behind some notes and coordinates within the Jedi text she stole from the tree library on Aktu that describes a Sith artifact that might help them. The source then said they go to Pasaana to seek out a hermit that Luke knew. They arrive on the planet and find a huge festival that's going on there and attempt to meet the contact. What they thought would be an easy mission has now turned into a much more complex one, and they try and lay low and blend in. Unsurprisingly though, Chewbacca struggles with this because, yeah, it's very difficult to hide a 7-foot tall Wookiee, and Rey encounters an alien in the crowd who takes a liking to her. This alien presents her with a handmade necklace and a gift, and she's asked her name, to which she responds, Rey. When asked her family name, she replies that she doesn't have one, which, remember that, yeah, because it plays into the end, so remember that. I'm telling you. Following this, there's a meeting where Kylo discusses the First Order spy to a room of officers, and he immediately says Hux' name, but seemingly changes the subject. The source also says that this meeting is the first time that we see Pride, and during the movie he mentions serving Palpatine during the days of the Empire. After the meeting, Kylo and Rey force bond on Pasaana. He follows her through the crowd, taunting her that she doesn't have a family. As soon as she snaps out of it, Rey draws the attention of some stormtroopers, who immediately recognize them, but they're swiftly handled by locals, while the hero team is whisked away by someone who's eventually revealed to be Lando. Greetings and introductions are exchanged, and Lando tells them of a dagger that may help them find what they seek. Many years prior, Lando and Luke went in search of this dagger that was owned by a Sith loyalist named Ochi. They tracked Ochi to Pasaana, but unfortunately the trail went cold. When met with the question of why he never left the planet after the search for Ochi, Lando tells the team that he had a young child at the time of this, and while they were out searching for the dagger, the First Order stole them. After having failed to protect his child from the First Order, Lando and Luke parted ways, and he's stayed on Pasaana ever since. Lando points them in the right direction, and this starts off a speeder chase. When the last trooper is finally dispatched, he hits the hero's speeder, which ends up flinging them into quicksand. In this scene, Finn shouts at Rey, thinking they're gonna die, that he has something to tell her, but they all get sucked down too quickly. When the team is sucked beneath the sand, Poe asks Finn and Rey if they're okay, to which 3PO apparently comments, "I didn't hear you mention my name, sir, but I'm also fine." Oh, terrible impression again. Down in the tunnels, Poe asks Finn what he was going to say to Rey in front of everyone, but Finn brushes it off, saying that they can talk about it later. While looking for an exit, they encounter the sandworm that's been previously mentioned in other leaks, and the source says that it looks a lot like a viper, which is quite intimidating. However, they go on to say that there's no battle with the snake, it's just a scene of Rey sneaking up to it, noticing a wound, and then she uses her life force to heal it. It slithers away, revealing Ochi's ship, which they then stumble across. Dio is found on Ochi's ship, and he is evidently extremely timid. Apparently he belonged to Ochi and was abused very bad, and he only speaks when spoken to and tends to shy away from people. On the ship they also discover that Ochi wasn't just a loyalist, he was actually a Sith assassin, and they find his dagger, which as part of their tradition has information inscribed on it. According to the leaks, C-3PO can read it, he knows what it says, and he tells the Resistance crew that it reveals the location of the Wayfinder, but his programming forbids him from providing a literal translation of the text. The leaks say that Chewbacca is then captured here, after he wanders off to get Rey, and two troopers happen upon him. After a little while, Finn goes to locate Chewie and sees him in cuffs, boarding a transport, and he runs to report this to Poe. This is meant to be when the big fight with Rey and the TIE fighter happens, which ends with Rey slicing Kylo's wing off during the flip, and he crashes. Whilst all this is transpiring, Poe, Finn, 3PO, BB-8 and so on get Ochi's ship in the air, just in time to fly over to pick up a very distraught Rey. Chewbacca had the knife with him, and having been caught, this is now in the hands of Kylo and co. However, luckily for them, 3PO has committed it to memory. I'm told that we have a quick cut at this point back to Kylo, which is where we find out that the Knights of Ren have tracked the Resistance team to Kijimi. It's Kijimi, it might be Kijimi, I don't know, it's written really weirdly. Anyway, the Resistance team arrives on the planet and bump into Zori Bliss and her crew. She comes from Poe's past and reveals that he once functioned as a spice runner and that he still owes her money. Quick skirmish occurs where Rey gets the upper hand and Zori agrees to bring them to Baba Frick. We learn that if 3PO is reset then he can read the dagger, but it means a complete wiping of his memory banks. Still reeling from the loss of Chewbacca, the heroes argue about finding another way to get the job done, but in an act of self-sacrifice, C-3PO voluntarily consents to the modifications. According to the source, this scene is reportedly one of the most emotional in the entire film, and Frick completes the hack and 3PO is now able to read the message inscribed on the dagger. This is what creates 3PO's red eyes, and the translated text points them to the location of the Emperor's own wayfinder. Having served his purpose, 3PO's memory wipe begins and he shuts down. Once the memory wipe is complete, 3PO reboots with a completely empty memory. During the hack scene, 3PO apparently takes shots at R2-D2 when they mention his memory wipe could be restored by him, as 3PO has zero confidence in him. Zori and Poe reminisce and she tries to get him to leave with her, but he refuses, and they're then assaulted by First Order troops. Kylo initiates another force bond with Rey, and on his Star Destroyer, Rey manages to grab the dagger. She sees Ochi attacking her parents, and they apparently left her on Jakku, ran away, and are later killed in what appears to be a city setting. This was all because they wouldn't reveal to Ochi where Rey actually was, as they were protecting her. At the end of the film, it's actually revealed that Ochi was not sent to kill Rey, but rather to retrieve her. On the Star Destroyer, Hux is revealed to be the spy, and he rescues the heroes, telling Poe to shoot him in the arm, but instead Poe shoots him in the leg. When asked why he's helping them, Hux replies that he doesn't care if the First Order wins, he just wants Kylo to lose. He's killed by Pride when he reports the incident, as it's just so obvious what actually happened. General Pride is now the sole commander of the First Order military, and the Emperor contacts him and demands that he uses one of the specially equipped Star Destroyers to destroy Kijimi as an act of loyalty, and Pride complies. The information gained from 3PO's translation of the dagger leads them to the location of the second Wayfinder, which turns out to be aboard the wreckage of the second Death Star on the forest moon of Endor. Along their way to the wreckage, the crew comes into contact with a person named Janna, who is revealed to be Lando's child. Janna provides Rey with transportation to get to the Death Star wreckage, and Rey climbs through its twisted remains. The source that leaked this information said that the scene feels very reminiscent to the activities that we saw Rey doing in The Force Awakens, and she eventually reaches the Emperor's throne room and discovers a chamber connecting to that room that contains the second Wayfinder. Upon touching the Wayfinder, Rey then interacts with a dark version of herself. The two fight, and Dark Rey uses her folding lightsaber to trap real Rey's own blade, easily gaining the upper hand and driving home the point of just how much more powerful she could be if she submitted to the darkness. After this, she snaps back to reality, and the source was under the impression that this may have been due to Leia. They claimed that right after that moment, we skip to a weakened being led out of a command room, and someone comments that it will take everything she has left to reach her son. The vision shocks Rey and she stumbles back into the throne room where Kylo is waiting for her. Kylo takes possession of the Emperor's Wayfinder, destroys it, and indicates to Rey that the only way to get another Wayfinder is to go through him and take Vader's. A lightsaber battle ensues, beginning in the throne room and eventually transitioning to the exterior wreckage among the crashing waves. During Kylo and Rey's duel on the Death Star wreckage, Rey is angry fighting him. We see her even force push Finn and Janna out of the zone. Off in another part of the galaxy, whilst Kylo and Rey clash sabers, bright light in the universe begins to fade, and Princess Leia dies. The source said that Leia's final words are Ben, which catches Kylo's attention and is what distracts him long enough for Rey to stab him through the abdomen and subsequently heal him. During this, she takes his Wayfinder, and this kind of plays into the finale. I'm told that Palpatine senses Leia's death too, making him more confident that Rey now has nobody to turn to but him. Sometime around here, Palpatine orders Kijimi to be destroyed as the first ships of the Sith fleet reach the deployment altitude. During this battle, Rey is also apparently revealed to be the descendant of Palpatine as well, which completely destroys her. After Kylo is stabbed, Han shows up out of nowhere. According to the source, he's not a Force ghost, it's as if he's standing there alive again. He gives Kylo some words of encouragement, and then their conversation very closely mirrors Han's death scene in The Force Awakens, including the "I know what I have to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it" bit. He even holds the lightsaber in the same spot, but he turns and throws it into the watery wreckage of the Death Star. Rey escapes and manages to get away following her experience there, and she returns to the island of Ahch-To. Is it Ahch-To? Bless me. Bless you. Throughout the course of the film, she's given into her aggression, nearly killed her friend by unleashing a stream of lightning on a ship, learned that she's the descendant of a Sith Lord who reduced the Jedi numbers to about 0, and saw a vision of herself as a servant of the dark side, and stabbed her enemy through the chest in anger. Her most recent encounter with Kylo was the last straw, and Rey has now made the decision to follow the example set by Luke and exile herself on an island where the Jedi began. Rey scuttles the ship that she stole from Kylo and throws the repaired lightsaber originally constructed by Anakin Skywalker in with it. The ghost of Luke Skywalker then appears to Rey, holding the weapon she's just discarded. Luke's conversation with Rey is said to be encouraging, yet realistically grim in tone. Luke knows firsthand what it's like to face Palpatine, and that it's not an easy task. Rey must therefore confront Palpatine in the same way that Luke had to confront Vader. Luke encourages Rey by telling her of the faith that he and Leia have in her. Leia saw the potential within her and too hoped that Rey would be able to restore balance to the Force just like Anakin had. This confirms that both Luke and Leia know Rey is a Palpatine, yet chose to train her anyway. When Rey reaches Achu, and bless you, she actually does transmit the path to Exegol to the Resistance, and there's some initial confusion as they're receiving a transmission from Red 5 because she leaves in Luke's old X-Wing. The Resistance doesn't have sufficient data to get there, but apparently Finn discovers that Dio knows the way. Lando leaves on the Falcon to get more forces, and the rest of the Resistance mobilizes with their newfound data and head after Rey. Right after his memory restoration, 3PO exclaims excitedly that he's about to go on a mission, but R2 tells him it already happened, much to 3PO's confusion. When Rey gets to Exegol, she wanders in, meeting zero resistance and happens upon the Sith throne. Palpatine emerges on the mechanical arm from one side, revealing everything to her, including that the assassin was meant to retrieve her, never to kill her. They get surrounded by hundreds, if not thousands of Palpatine's acolytes. While Palpatine tries to goad Rey into killing him, he also points to the fleet, claiming that she could become Empress Palpatine. Do not tell the Get Woke Go Bro crowd, please, just keep that quiet. Do not tell them about Empress Palpatine, please. You're gonna kick off in the comments. Anyway, Kylo, now Ben, enters Exegol and gets his ass handed to him by the Knights of Ren. Just as Rey is about to strike at Palpatine, she initiates a Force bond and gives him Leia's lightsaber. Palpatine apparently speaks about the bond that they share and how extremely powerful and rare it is for it to occur. He then sucks their life force to restore his, and we see his white eyes turn to the yellow-orange Sith style. The members of the Resistance arrive and begin fighting the Sith fleet. Palpatine then sees the arrival of reinforcements and begins to laugh, throwing lightning into the air, shutting down a lot of ships including Poe's. Palpatine then throws Ren into a ravine, claiming that he is the last Skywalker in the line. Rey then hears voices such as Yoda, Luke, Leia, Mace Windu and others who give her the strength to stand up. Palpatine tries to lightning her, but she blocks it with one of her sabers and seemingly stalemates them. She then finds the strength to pull the other saber up, making an X formation, and this allows her to deflect the lightning back towards him. Palpatine apparently disintegrates and explodes, causing the arena to crumble, but also killing Rey in the process. Ben apparently climbs out of the pit, finding a dead Rey, and decides to give up his life for hers. He uses the healing trick to save her, but this drains his life force in the process. Then there's a weird fanfic moment where they kiss, and he dies. Now this scene is really weird, as I did actually see a lot of leaked images where Ren was on the planet at the end of the movie, so yeah, it looks like they just went back and reshot all that. Anyway, we'll talk about it in a bit. Lando goes back for Jenna and Finn, who are on the Star Destroyer, which is falling out of the air. The fleet is destroyed, Rey survives, and it looks like the galaxy is saved. This leads you to see Chewie, who hears Maz call to him, and you think that she's going to ask for a kiss, but instead she says you deserve this and hands him a large medal. They did it, they finally did it. I'm crying, managed to do it. The movie ends with Rey going to Luke's old moisture farm on Tatooine with his and Leia's lightsabers to bury them. She now has a black and grey handle lightsaber which she ignites to show a yellow blade. She and Bibi are the only ones present until a woman appears asking her name, to which she says Rey. Rey who? Then, seeing Luke and Leia's ghosts in the distance, she replies, Rey Skywalker, as she clearly sees them as the parents she was never able to have. Rey and Bibi look off at the second twin suns, and the movie ends. So there you have it, that's apparently the entire plot of the Rise of Skywalker, and obviously I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. As mentioned earlier, there was actually a leaked image that showed Ren on Tatooine at the end, so it sounds like they've definitely reshot this. As I've seen it with my own eyes, I just can't put it in this video because Disney will block it. Very strange either way, but yeah, comment below and let me know, and if you enjoyed this video then please give it a thumbs up, and make sure you check out our full breakdown of the scene that discusses where Snoke really came from. If you want to come chat to me after the video, then make sure you follow me on Twitter at DefinitionYT, or head over to my Discord server, which will be linked in the description below. We drop videos on there early, so if you want to see stuff before anyone else, then that's the best place to be. It's free to join and we have an awesome community, so hopefully I see you over there very soon. We're also giving away a free copy of the Marvel Phase 3 Part 2 box set on Blu-ray, which contains Black Panther, Infinity War, Endgame, Captain Marvel and more, and all you have to do to be in with a chance of winning is like the video, make sure you subscribe to the channel and leave your thoughts on the leaks in the comments section below. The winner is going to be chosen on the 15th of December and the set will be shipped out from then to whoever gets the prize, so best of luck to everyone who takes part. This is a channel for people who are mad into movies, so if that's the kind of thing you like, hit subscribe. Thanks again for taking the time to watch this. I've been Definition, you've been the best, and I'll see you next time. Take care, peace.